President Trump's tax returns are the center of Democrat attacks this week, but the story is taking on a new twist. A former DOJ attorney and FEC commissioner predicts that it isn't the president who's in trouble, but instead the media and IRS, which may have violated federal law. One America's Rion has more from Washington.
The New York Times' recent report on the president's tax returns generated headlines, but could land the paper in legal hot water because it involves the possibly illegal disclosure of confidential information, says former DOJ attorney Hans von Spakovsky.
There's a federal statute that guarantees the privacy of federal tax returns, makes it actually a crime for federal employees, for example, people who work at the IRS, to release tax returns and make them public. That confidentiality requirement basically applies to anyone. So if an IRS employee, for example, gives it to another private person, somebody who doesn't work for the government, that private individual is also barred from publicizing it, and it extends to not just releasing tax returns, but publishing them also.
But some legal experts counter that court precedents demonstrate First Amendment rights trump those of personal privacy. Even so, von Spakovsky points out that if an investigation shows a government employee disclosed the tax records, this is sufficient basis for legal action.
A couple of years ago, the National Organization for Marriage had its tax return illegally disclosed by an IRS employee. It went to a private individual who gave it to the Huffington Post and others who published that information. The IRS ended up paying $50,000 to the National Organization of Marriage to settle the lawsuit that the organization had filed against the IRS for violating the privacy of its tax return.
So it appears privacy is the law, even for a president. And von Spakovsky concedes it's sometimes a fine line, but ultimately he says the government has a vested interest in maintaining its integrity and the trust of the American taxpayer.
While we do want a freely functioning press, we don't want one that thinks that it can break the law and get away with things that ordinary citizens can't.
The source of the Times story is still unverified, but if an investigation reveals an IRS employee to be culpable, the narrative could quickly shift to the president's right to privacy rather than the Democrats' right to know. From Washington, Rion, One America News.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.